How is anyone able to survive when your basic needs cost more than your income?
Inflation obviously has affected my situation in so many ways. Obviously, the cost of living is one. My grocery spending takes up a lot of my money. So I try to go all in one trip, which could cost about $120 if I'm doing a huge haul of groceries. Besides that, I would say when I have time, I do it all in one trip, but most of the time I end up going in small doses, and those trips are about $45 each, and I could go up to 2 to 3 times a week. Paying like $5.49 for a snack or something that really isn't supposed to be the biggest treat in the world, but nowadays is starting to feel like such a luxury item. I did move here specifically for my job in a land of a lot of opportunity, and that job required me to be in person every single day. So every single day, I'm spending time commuting, taking care of myself, doing chores, cleaning and cooking, just to really put all of my energy back into this job that I moved here for. And I think the cost of living has definitely affected that in so many ways.
Me, being a Gen Z who recently entered the workforce and had to move out to the big city for my job, knew I couldn't be the only one in my generation facing these problems brought by inflation. So I went to find out how bad it really is. The biggest push from inflation has been seen in renting and buying homes, the gas pump, and one that widely affects us all, the cost of food. And these problems have given Gen Z who are graduating high school and college an eye-opening welcome to adulthood. A poll by Daily Pay found only 28% of Gen Z are paying their monthly bills on time, and a record 54% of them are choosing to live with their parents after high school just to save money. So what about the rest of the 46%? Much of the Gen Z that isn't staying home is actually choosing to move to bigger cities. A recent analysis found that Gen Z are moving in flocks to the megacities, the 5 largest American cities, New York City, LA, Chicago, Houston, and Philly, all had a net increase for Gen Z. I went to meet with Chinenye Onyeki, a master's student with a full-time job and tens of $1,000s in student loans, to see how she manages weekly expenses at the grocery store. Chinenye is also part of Gen Z who had to relocate for her job.
Based off what I eat, I know I'm gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I make a list based off that. But with the list, it helps me kind of have a gauge of what I'm gonna spend each time I go. All right, what do I need first? One side is a certain price and the organic ones are expensive. Sometimes you're choosing between do I want to be healthy or do I want to save money?
So if you were to take something like Planet Oats, something that you say you get pretty frequently, have you seen the price fluctuate since you've coming here?
I feel like Planet Oat is one that I get from time to time, but it usually is the more cheaper option. I feel like when I first started buying it, maybe it was around $3. Now, this one was $4.47, I believe. It's very frustrating because it's I want, again, you want the cheaper option, but also is the cheaper option healthy for you? When I buy shrimp, this is when I start to question a lot, because I feel like fish produce is always just 10 times more expensive than chicken. I would go for the $12.99 one, and I think I want to go for that one, but I see an $11.99 one here, and that's the cheapest one.
Would you say that you spend the same amount of money eating out or grocery shopping?
Sometimes it feels like I'm spending more on groceries than I am on outside food. I just would talk to friends more too, and they would tell me, why are you spending that much on your groceries? And I'm like, that's not right. And then when you buy on your own and you see how much stuff adds up, you don't want to spend you don't want to drop so much money.
What are all the needs that you got today?
I got eggs, ground beef, frozen waffles, oat milk, a loaf of bread, frozen vegetables, spaghetti, pasta, tomato, basil sauce, frozen shrimp, bananas, blueberries, and applesauce.
She still got everything on her needs list, but she had a budget to keep. So she only picked up the soda and the protein blends because
wants are also things that I don't have to come here for. Yeah, I'll probably get the things that I want that I can only get here today. Okay. And then another day.
The supply shortage from the Russia-Ukraine war and the worldwide COVID-19 crisis are some of the major factors that brought America at the brink of this economic recession. But it's also believed that some companies are using inflation as an excuse to raise prices. Over the last 12 months, the food we ate at home rose just over 11%. Cereals and bakery products rose around 15%, and dairy-related products at 14%. Oh, and how could we forget about the eggs? Egg prices had the largest price increase, at a shocking 32% after an outbreak of a highly pathogenic avian influenza. In between it all, another percentage rose: corporate profits. Kroger had about a 5% increase, Coca-Cola around 7%, PepsiCo almost 17%, and Albertsons had around a 50% increase. But we can't blame it all on the supply shortage and corporate greed. What's also keeping inflation so high is the fact that Americans just won't stop spending. In January itself, retail spending increased 3%. The Federal Reserve has been making major moves to bring inflation down by raising interest rates again and again. And then some more.
If inflation rates keep rising at the rate that they are right now, then it will become super hard for Gen Zs to settle down. But I do see that decreasing in the next few years. The Fed right now is hiking interest rates to reduce this inflation because of the shock of the pandemic.
In a nutshell, when interest rates are low, businesses are likely to take out more loans. People buy more houses, cars, all helping the economy grow. But the exact opposite is supposed to happen when interest rates are high. People are supposed to be spending less, and demand should be driving down.
While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain.
The Fed's goal is to drive down demand and slow down the economy. Terms like the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, the Big Quit are terms we hear often when talking about Gen Z in the workforce. And it all has to do with them wanting flexible schedules, work-life balance, and wages that meet the daily expenses.
Wages should be increasing with that, with the shock to inflation.
About 45% of Gen Z have taken up side hustles during this economy, and they're expected to be a third of the workforce by 2030.
I wanted to hear some raw truth about Gen Z's cost of living. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. What better way to do it than to head out to Washington Square Park and find out ourselves? Desperate to hear from Gen Z. I want to ask you questions and interrogate you about your life. How much do you feel like you spend on groceries?
I'm vegan, so it can be kind of expensive if I don't buy groceries and cook for myself.
I spend a lot of money on food. I probably go to grocery shopping once a week.
I could probably be better about how I spend money on food, but I don't know. I could grocery shop more. I'm not the best cook.
If I want to get really creative for 1 week or one meal, it can get pretty expensive. I can end up spending anywhere from $50 to $60 to cook one thing. But if I'm just being frugal, I can get by on rice, beans, and assorted vegetables, and those are all pretty cheap.
Eggs, the egg thing, eggs are expensive.
Tell us about eggs.
Eggs are expensive, and I love eggs, so I eat eggs a lot, and a carton's a ridiculous amount of money.
Eggflation is really serious.
Eggflation is serious. It's a big problem.
Yeah. How much do you pay for rent?
I pay $900 a month for my room, and then I have 2 roommates.
It's $1,900 a month, but I live in a 3-bedroom, so it's $5,700 a month. I think it's ridiculous.
So I have 3 roommates. I pay over $1,000 a month.
How much do you pay for rent?
$1,800. I live with 6 roommates actually. So.
Are you hopeful about the future of inflation and the cost of living?
Inflation? No. There's zero hope for inflation. We're screwed.
I'm honestly really nervous because a lot of our politicians aren't helping us.
I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon without a recession, so I think prices will continue to rise.
I'm never buying a house. I want to buy a house so bad. If I live in New York, I'll probably be renting forever. Yeah. I doubt I'll ever be able to afford a house in New York.
The Gen Z we met, their biggest expenses were
Definitely rent.
Rent.
More rent.
And they all lived with roommates. Adding to their expenses was food and groceries, and just the additional cost of living in a big city. In a nutshell, they were skeptical for the future and didn't see a way out of the rent cycle anytime soon. Big cities, skyscrapers, the hustle, these have long been synonymous to opportunities, growth, and success. But the soaring inflation, low wages, living hand to mouth has left Gen Z with little hope and questioning if this goal is even feasible for our generation.